let's talk a little bit about what the schedule was like in college, because I'm pretty sure you were used to that type of volume of training, strength and conditioning. So was it a big difference from what you were doing as a senior in high school to college?
Oh, yeah.
Okay. Talk about that a little bit.
So when I adjusted, or when I changed to homeschooling, I had the whole day to practice. So, I never really worried about, oh, did I practice enough? Did I not have time to work on this? But when you go to college, you are a student athlete. So you now have classes, you now have homework, you now have, outside team meetings, media things that you need to do. So you really only ended up with 3 to 4 hours a day. And then obviously on the weekends, as long as you want. But the biggest change is I had to learn how to do productive and efficient practice, which is a huge change. Because I guess that's not really a concept that I was familiar with, in high school. It was kind of just like beat ball after ball after ball. And yeah, you were specific to the point, but in college you get even more specific. So in that 3 hours, can you be just as productive as you would in 6 hours? And you absolutely can. And so that's something that I learned, especially towards, my junior and senior year. And that's something the coaches emphasize too. Because, just because you stay at the golf course for 8 hours and I stay at 3 hours, I can actually do more work than you. And it's a hard concept to grasp and actually do, but it makes a big difference.
That's huge with anything, right?
Yep.
Efficiency, not only efficiency in the actual task, but efficiency in how you're going to train.
Right.
Because I think, and I'm glad that you're mentioning this, because for me, unfortunately, I see that the higher levels that you go up in sports, then the more efficient your training gets. Right. And unfortunately, if you're never exposed to that, the layperson just thinks, I just got to do more.
Yeah, just more reps, more hours.
Yeah, it doesn't work like that.
Yeah.
And for me, I guess, fortunately, I got to see like NFL level, collegiate level. The way that you practice and the efficiency of how you train is way different. Like at the NFL level, when you're banging into trucks pretty much every week, right? Your body's taking a beating. You don't need to be in the weight room doing 3-hour workouts every day. You need to focus more on recovery, other things that will help you to be ready for the next week. Same thing for golf too. If you only have 3 hours, are you just going to do mindless drills and, practice? Or are you actually going to hone in on what you specifically need to do?
Right.
So for all of the athletes, don't get me wrong. I think in the beginning, you need to experience the grind.
Yep.
Going through all of those, just reps after reps to learn. But as you get better and better, you're going to start to hone in a little bit more, be specific with what you need to work on.
Yep.
So let's talk about that a little bit. If you were to look at let's say the later years in high school, right? And then your 4 years at Colorado, what kind of changed with how you approached practice, or what were you working on? How did your game elevate and evolve to where it was in college?
Right. So I do remember after transitioning from my senior year in high school to my freshman year, I would sometimes get a little bit bent out of shape, only because in high school I had a very structured, there wasn't a lot of change. I wouldn't have to, I wouldn't be at practice in the middle of the day and then be like, oh, I have a meeting that I need to go to last minute. Whereas in college, you need to be flexible and you need to be able to adjust and change your schedule and just make it work without getting flustered.
Yes.
And so that's something that I learned freshman year. And then, as I got into my junior and senior year, that was so easy for me to do.
Got it.
With ease. And it's just, you just learn to make the most of your time and
yes.
And yeah.
Yeah. And that's a good message too, because everyone on your team, right, they all have the same amount of time, same commitment, similar training schedules and all of that. So it's who's going to make the most of it, right? And who's going to actually get better.